Let us see what AMI means. AMI means Amazon Machine Image. Let us see why they are used. What is an AMI? An AMI is a reusable template to create instances. Basically, in a typical situation, you will have a set of AMIs in real time, like a Mongo AMI, Elasticsearch AMI, MySQL AMI, Prod AMI. These are all templates. You are creating tons of instances in real-time environments. So let's say you have 20 Elasticsearch instances and you need to build. So every time you need to build Elasticsearch AMI, you need to install Java, install the web server. So these are all the packages required. For all 20 instances, you have to do this repeatedly. You may commit mistakes. Instead of doing that, you can build a template or AMI with all the packages required, and it's called an Elasticsearch AMI. Then you use that to launch the instances, Elasticsearch instances. Likewise, MySQL also. You can install the MySQL software and all the dependencies, whatever is needed. Then you use that to launch the MySQL instances. These AMIs are really important because you don't want to redo all the tasks again and again. There is a possibility that you may make mistakes if you don't have a template. You can customize the AMI. AMIs can be customized according to the requirements. That is the major advantage of using AMI. An AMI can be Linux-based or Windows-based. Basically, you have Windows AMI or Linux AMI, depending on your requirement. These are the criteria for creating AMIs. AMI is specific to your region. Basically, you have to pick and choose the region where you want to create an AMI, and then the operating system. Whether you want to do Linux or in Linux, there is CentOS, there is Ubuntu, all of those things. And then the architecture, whether you want to do 32-bit or 64-bit, the launch permissions, the storage for the root device, whether you want to use EBS or Instant Store. So depending on the requirements you pick, you can choose these and then create AMI. So how do you use AMI? What is the life cycle of an AMI? Once you create an AMI, you need to register it. After registering it, you can use it to launch instances, or you can copy the AMI to make a version of it. You can also deregister an AMI if you no longer need it, or if you no longer use it. So after several months of usage, you no longer use it, you can deregister the AMI. These are the various phases of AMI life cycle. You pretty much create it, register it, then use it to launch instances, or you can use it to make a copy of an AMI. And later, if you don't need it anymore, if you don't need it any further, you can deregister it. AMI types. Basically, there are different types of AMIs. One is the marketplace. These are the AMIs built by third parties. Let us take a look at it. If you go to the console, you have something called AWS Marketplace. Here you can see the software that is built by external third-party vendors. These are not free. So you can see that this is 55 cents per hour, and this is 60 cents per hour. So basically you have to have a lot of software that is available in the marketplace that you can reuse. And then also there is something called community AMIs. The community AMIs are public ones. People created and made public. You can see that there are 28,000 community AMIs available. But you have to make sure that you are using the right one, because these are created by people just like you that made them available publicly. So some of them may not be trustworthy, or they may not be secure. So you have to be careful when you choose this community. Then in the My AMIs, this is where the custom AMIs are placed. Like you create Elasticsearch AMIs for your environment. So that is shown under My AMIs. These are the 3 we have in our environment. And basically, you can create as many as you need. These My AMIs are also called golden images. So when you hear the term golden image, which means they are the custom AMIs that you created in your environment. Let us go back to the slides. We saw how to create AMI and basically the life cycle of an AMI. AMI types, like I showed you, there is a marketplace. There's a community of public AMIs that you have to be careful when using. And then My AMIs are the private ones you created, and they are called golden images. When you create AMI, it either uses EBS or Instant Store as a backend. Basically, these are the differences between EBS-backed AMIs and Instant Store-backed AMIs. So the boot time for EBS-backed is usually less than 1 minute, and the boot time for Instant Store is less than 5 minutes. So the root device EBS-backed is 16 terabytes, and Instant Store-backed is 10 gigabytes. You can see the difference of data persistence. When you use EBS, basically, the data persists even after termination because it's EBS, even after you stop. Advantages of custom AMI. You have faster boot times because you install all the packages and you're not doing any steps in the user data. So if you avoid doing some steps in the user data, it will be faster. Installing apps ahead of time. Let's say you're using MySQL instance. All the software and packages it needs are installed ahead of time. Security concerns. You can harden the instance. You take all the security measures when you create the AMI, which will be retained, and the machine comes configured with monitoring software. So you can have all the monitoring software in place when you create the AMI. And the new instances that are launched based on the AMI will have the software already. We already looked at the marketplace. This is a snapshot of the AMIs that you can choose. The software that you can choose from the marketplace. And you use them, but you will be charged hourly for those. So, community maintained AMIs are public. They are made by people, and they may not be secure all the time. So when you pick those, choose a public AMI, you have to be very careful. And My AMIs are the ones that we create for our own environment, and they are private to us. My AMIs are also called golden images. In real time, when you work for a company, you may have a golden image web server, a golden image for MySQL, a golden image for Mongo, a golden image for prod. You can reuse that golden image to spawn as many instances as we need. You hear the term golden image, that means nothing but a custom AMI you created for your environment for a particular use case. Things to remember. When you create an AMI, you have to make sure that you need to select the no reboot option. This is very important. When you create using dashboard, there's an option called no reboot, which means that you are creating an AMI based on an EC2 instance that is running already. If you don't select that no reboot option, the instance will be rebooted. Let's say you're trying to create an AMI based on a production instance that is already running. And if you don't select it, no reboot option, that production instance will be rebooted and you can cause outages. You have to make sure that you have selected this option to avoid any reboots. It is always better to create an AMI when the instances are in the power off state. Basically, because it is a clean slate, so it's always better to create an AMI when the instance is powered off. An AMI is specific to a region. You have to remember that when you create an AMI in a region, that is specific to that, but you can copy it to another region if you need to. There are two ways to create AMIs. One is using the console. The second is using the CLI. This is the command you would use to create an AMI using CLI. So create an image, instance ID, so you would give the instance ID, which is going to be used to create the AMI. And you specify the option, no reboot, which means the instance is not rebooted when the AMI is being created. Copying AMI between regions. This is very important. Let's say you have an AMI in Ohio region, but you need that to reuse in North Virginia region. You need to copy it. You can copy it from the dashboard to the North Virginia region. This is the snapshot of how you would copy an AMI from one region to another. Basically, you right-click on the AMI, select Copy AMI option, and give the destination region, name, description, and it is copied. That's it. Now we have seen the basics of AMI. Let us go ahead and create some AMIs using dashboards from different use cases. In this video, let us see how to set up MySQL AMI. Let's say your company uses a lot of MySQL instances for databases. You will be launching hundreds of MySQL instances in your environment, and you need to have a good AMI to begin with. The AMI will have the MySQL software installed and ready, and what other configurations you need. The custom configuration of my.cnf, whatever other configurations you need. The custom configuration of my.cnf. You make those configuration changes and make it available for reuse. This is the instance I launched using the console, and now I do a yum install to install Percona version of MySQL. I just did the repository update. And then if I do list Percona, I should be able to see all the minus. So these are all the packages available. And I will install Percona Server 5.7. So here, I am installing Percona version 5.7. Downloading and installing. It's installing shared client RPM and the Percona server RPM. Once the installation is done, pretty much you can see whether it has Percona RPMs by checking this command. You can see that the Percona is installed, and now there is a configuration file called etc/my.cnf. This is the configuration file for MySQL. You want to change some configuration items there. So let's say you want to change the expire logs days to 7. This is one configuration that you want to change. This one will remove the binary logs that are older than 7 days. You are changing this. You need to start MySQL to check whether the change happened. It's starting MySQL. MySQL is getting started now. MySQL has started. And you can check whether it is running or not. And you can check the configuration. This new configuration item has picked up now. Now, our MySQL AMI is pretty much ready. Let's create AMI based on that. If you go to the console here, and go to Actions, Create Image. Here in the image name, you can give it as MySQL AMI. This AMI will be used for MySQL instances. And you can check this one if you don't want to reboot, and then you can click on Create Image. The image is being created. Once that image is created, you can actually spawn instances that will have MySQL already installed on them. So let us wait for the AMI to be ready. And then we will create one MySQL instance and see whether it's having the MySQL already installed or even showing my.cnf change that we just made. The MySQL AMI is in an available state now. So we can go ahead and create a new instance using that. Go to EC2 Dashboard, Launch Instance, and then My AMIs. You can pick and choose the MySQL AMI. You can refresh it, actually to My AMIs. It is not available, so let us wait for some time. Basically, did we create it? Maybe we did. Maybe we didn't create it. Let us go ahead and create that AMI. 3 running instances. Let us see which one has the public IP address of 150. So 150 is the public IP address. So this is the one. I think the AMI is still being created. Let's take some time here. So let us give it some more time, okay? It's probably created by now. Launch instances, My AMIs. Yes, it's created now. The MySQL AMI is created. So hit the select, and I pick T2 Micro. And we want to launch. So it launched it. That instance is in the pending state, and it should go to a running state soon. Once it is in running state, we could use the public IP address to log in and check it. This is the public IP. I logged into the instance. And basically, we should see whether the Percona is installed, because it should come installed as we use the AMI. Yes, if you see the Percona software is installed by default because we launched using the AMI that we created earlier, we should also check if it has the config changes. If you see it has the config changes that we made to my.cnf, which is really good. So pretty much, this can be the template for all the MySQL instances. It has the MySQL software installed and it has the MySQL configuration. And you can reuse this for your future MySQL instances. Remember, this is a sample configuration, but in real time, you will have 10s and 20s of variables that you will need to define in the config.